Hello, everyone. My name is Antonio Zapata, and this is Project 2 Renaissance Masters. I chose the Michelangelo visual timeline. So, some background information on Michelangelo. He was an Italian painter, sculptor, and architect. Michelangelo was born on March 6, 1475, and died on February 18, 1564. He is regarded as one of the best artists of all time. His work with sculptures and just artwork in general have been viewed as both hot-tempered and volatile. What he did to Renaissance art impacted the art industry as a whole, and still to this day, he's looked at as one of the best artists of all time. From painting the walls of the Sistine Chapel to constructing the wonderful statue of David, Michelangelo's work will always be praised upon and valued for the rest of time. So first, we have Bacchus. Bacchus is one of Michelangelo's first pieces of artwork. This sculpture stands at 203 centimeters tall, 76 centimeters wide, and 86 centimeters deep. This sculpture has stood at many places over time. First, it was bought by Jacopo Galli, and it stayed in his garden. And then it moved over to Florence, and after Florence, it went into the Uffizi Gallery. But today, it stands in the Bargello Museum in Italy. In the sculpture, Bacchus is wearing a crown of grapes and holding a cup. This sculpture is referred to as a drunken god, as we could see Bacchus's mouth is slightly pried open and his head is tilted, symboling that he is drunk or is portrayed to be drunk. And next to Bacchus is a satyr, who is half the size of a god. Next up, we have Pieta. This was Michelangelo's first Pieta. He did multiple during his career. This specific Pieta is displayed in St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, Italy. This sculpture depicts the Virgin Mary holding the body of the dead Christ. And at the time, this sculpture was very popular, as just anything revolving around Christianity was popular. However, the theme of Christ laying in the arms, or just pietas in general, it originated during the 14th century in Germany. And then from Germany, it spread over to France, and then throughout most of Northern Europe. Michelangelo saw this theme, and he perfected the pieta, as it represents both agony and heroic values within the religious world. Now, this is probably one of Michelangelo's most famous pieces of work, the statue of David. This statue stands 14 feet tall. It is made strictly out of marble. And David, it depicts the biblical hero, David, who fought Goliath in the book of Samuel, which is in the Bible. Within the statue, in David's left hand, he is holding a rock. This is his only weapon in the battle. All he has besides the rock is the strength and courage from God. And with that courage, he uses the rock and he throws it towards Goliath, which strikes him in the head and knocks him over, which leaves David victorious. His pose within the sculpture gives off both confidence and dominance, which were both big themes in Renaissance art. And even till today, this statue stands as one of the most important pieces of artwork in history. A few years later, the Sistine Chapel ceiling was started, and then 4 years later, in 1512, it was completed. This ceiling displays multiple beautifully executed pieces of artwork that were all done by Michelangelo. When he was painting this, he was laying up in the air on his back, where he would spend hours each day painting a bunch of different paintings. And at first, he didn't want to do it. He was not up to the task, but instead he gutted it out for over 4 years, and he finally completed it. One specific image on the ceiling is the creation of Adam, which is also one of Michelangelo's most famous pieces of artwork separately. Other pieces of artwork within the ceiling contain the Deluge and the Sibyls. The paintings displayed create a beautiful collage displayed within the chapel that visitors till this day are in awe when they view. The Last Judgment ties into the Christian world of art, more specifically Judgment Day. Judgment Day is when those who perish are met with Christ, and Christ decides who goes into heaven and who goes into hell. This painting features over 300 muscular figures, all doing a different pose. They all symbolize something. The figures range from the center to the edges. In the middle, we have Christ, who is judging those who have perished, whether they get into heaven or hell. The ones on the right are allowed into the kingdom of heaven, while the ones on the left are not. Underneath Christ are the fallen angels. The damned, which are on the right side, features those who are entering hell, and the elect, who are on the left side, features those who are entering heaven. Michelangelo wanted to show the triumph of Christ and just Christ's power in general within this painting. And this painting is also displayed on the Sistine Chapel ceiling. The Deposition from 1547 to 1555 is one of Michelangelo's later works of art, but it is still beautifully executed. This sculpture is supposed to represent Christ as soon as he's taken down from the cross. He is in the arms of the Virgin Mary and Mary Magdalene, with Joseph behind them. This piece is also considered a Pieta because Christ is within the arms of his mother. This sculpture was created specifically so the viewer can see three perspectives of Christ at once. We have Mary Magdalene, the Virgin Mary, and Joseph in the back. Michelangelo also wanted to include realism within the sculpture, which was also executed perfectly. And today, the Deposition is located in the Museo dell'Opera del Duomo in Florence, Italy. Next up, we have the Porta Pia, which is one of Michelangelo's last works of art. Not his final work, but one of his final pieces. It is a gate in the ancient Aurelian walls that was designed for Pope Pius IV. Michelangelo had previously been working on this for a few years, and as soon as it was finalized, he passed away shortly after. Pope Pius also died shortly after this was given to him in his name, and as time went on, there was another gate added to the original creation by Virginio Vespignani. And in 1870, the Porta Pia entered the annals of modern Italian history as troops broke through the walls and entered Rome. Finally, we have the Pieta Rondinini. This was Michelangelo's last piece of work before he passed away. This was finished days before his death and a few weeks before his 89th birthday. This also shows Christ in the body of his mom, the Virgin Mary, except this one is standing. It stands 74 inches tall. When Michelangelo started this, it was originally started in the 1550s, but he kept abandoning it and coming back to it until he finally decided to settle down and finish it up, which obviously happened in 1564. While most pietas feature Christ laying down in his mother's arms, this one features him standing up. Michelangelo made both Christ and the Virgin Mary face in the same upward direction so they could appear as one to the viewer's eye. It shows irony and charm, and with this sculpture being finished, it would mark the end of Michelangelo's fantastic career and incredible life. And this was the Michelangelo timeline. And these are my citations.